in Adobe Premiere. So in Adobe Premiere, I've got my movie and my still image, like you'll have in your project. I'm going to click and drag my clip over to the page icon in the project panel, which creates the sequence. This is the sequence. This is the movie. Those are what the icons look different. I want from here, so I'm going to edit to about there. I'm going to close up the space by selecting next to it and hitting Ripple Delete, or I just grab my black arrow selected and move it. I'm going to use my magnifying tool to zoom in. I've got my broccoli. I want the broccoli to come in. He's reading the book about broccoli. A little bit of movement, so I'll put it right here on the layer above. Adobe After Effects will automatically make layers for you. If I want to add some type, it started on a new layer. This is the bottom layer, and then everything above it will go onto a new layer. So in Premiere, I have to add my new layer. If you need more layers while working on your project, just select any layer, right-click, Add Tracks. If you want to add only video, however many you want, if I wanted to add 5, I type in 5. If I want to add audio, I type in the number 5. Or if you don't want to add any audio, 0. It will automatically add one audio and one video. So if you don't want the extra audio, hit 0. Then click OK. So now I have 8 layers if I wanted to work that way. That's how you add your extra layers in Premiere. This gray along the side shows you what layer you have selected. So you have to be careful because things might accidentally go into the wrong layer if you're not careful with what's selected. But you can always click and drag into the layer that you want. Over here or over there, moving it around with the black arrow key. Now for this broccoli, for this demonstration, I'm going to fade it in and have it move. I'm going to want it to be moving before it fades in because that's a more professional look. So let's say this is the spot I want it to be faded in by 100% and already moving. I go Effect Controls. If you don't have the Effect Controls window, it's Window, Effect Controls. And this is where it'll appear under the workspace of editing, up here where you have your audio and your source window. So I'm going to twirl down the arrows for opacity, which is what's going to fade it in, and for motion. If you don't see an editing space over here, you might start and see this. It's this grayed out arrow, Show Hide Timeline. That's how you see it. So again, the white arrow, the grayed arrow. This is now your timeline. So I'm going to add a keyframe right here for opacity. And for scale, let's see how we want this. I'm going to scale down a little bit. That should be good. And I'm going to want it to move sideways across the screen. So I'm using my numbers. If this is where it's going to be at 100% opacity, I'm going to give it 1 second from there. So that's going to be 0.19. I'm going to click the opacity for it here. This is the problem with working with keyframes in Premiere. Sometimes you don't have the ability to see where your keyframes are. So I'm going to make this 0. So now it's going to fade in over time. We'll give this some extra space here so you can see why I'm doing this. You got to make sure your item is selected before you do this. So I'm going to start the position before it fades in. I'm going to have it move throughout the whole piece. So let's say it's still moving there, and I'm going to have it fade out before it stops moving. So it's going to go from 100. Select the keyframe. You have to select it in Premiere, otherwise it'll do all the keyframes. So I've got 0, completely faded out. Go back 100. This next one over here will be 100. So it'll be full transparency between here. It's going to start moving before it fades in, and it'll keep moving after it has faded out. So I select this keyframe. I'm going to move it to the right so that when I preview it, here's what we're going to have. As you can see, it's going to be moving before it fades in and still moving after it's faded out. So watch up here. And it's moving slowly because I have multiple programs open. But that's just showing you how to do this in Premiere.